Right, so I'm probably going to get a little bit of stick for this one because obviously there's always going to be someone that's going to get butthurt over this. But today I'm going to be showing 5 weapons that outperform FAMAS. Now I want you to actually understand what I've said here. Outperform. I don't mean outdamage, even though there are weapons that do outdamage FAMAS. And what I'm going here with is a theme of sort of assault rifles or rapid fire weapons. So pretty much there are going to be 4 assault rifles here and there's 1 LMG. And for those that know me, you know what LMG it's going to be. Now, when I mean outperform, I do mean accuracy, I mean time to kill, I mean just general DPS, output, ammo management. I mean literally all of it. So there are some various things we need to look at. One is actually how to calculate DPS. And the easy way to do this is by doing a very simple equation. RPM divided by time times weapon damage. It's pretty damn simple, to be perfectly honest. So I'm going to be working with all weapons at base, minus the weapon damage you get from the Shade Watch, because if you can turn that off, I don't know how, and I also can't be bothered. So it's going to be their base weapon damage plus 10% for the calculations I'm going to show. Now it does get a little bit iffy when you start adding in talents and then multipliers like damage to targets out of cover, damage to armor, health damage, blah 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 blah. However, there are a few options in which just outshine FAMAS completely and utterly, depending on how you want to look at it, which is why it's outperform, not straight out better. Okay, so stay with me here. So for the FAMAS, we have 900 divided by 60. This gives us our 60-second DPS times 55,200, and that equals the lovely number of 828,000. That means at base, with no other buffs active, just your watch, 10% weapon damage, on average, not including crits or headshots, you will do 828,000 damage per second with FAMAS. Now admittedly, that is bloody good. I am not trying to say that FAMAS is a bad weapon. I'm just simply saying that there are weapons and under certain circumstances and depending on your abilities will potentially be better suited for you. So, up first we have a split decision. You'll get the pun in a minute. We have CTAR or Rail Splitter. Now at base, because both weapons essentially have the same stat, it's 900 divided by 60 times 51,100, and that gives us 766,500. That's not too much of an overall DPS drop. However, this is where other mechanics then get involved. You see, the CTAR has a lot better accuracy and stability, and this is amplified even further if you use Rail Splitter. Then you got to take into account the headshot multipliers of the weapon. Now, statistically speaking, you stand a much better chance of getting those consistent headshots with the CTAR/Rail Splitter. I actually don't have a decent Rail Splitter/CTAR build to use, so I can't really showcase that. But yeah, you are just much better off if you are one of those persons that like getting your headshots. You're better off with the CTAR than you are a FAMAS. You're not losing too much DPS in the long run, and you'll be making more than making up for it with the more consistent headshots that you will be getting. From there, you essentially have a more accurate, more stable, and effectively in the long run, assuming you can get those decent headshots, a more damage output. Because of where it's more accurate as well, you can actually take better shots from longer range. So generally speaking, simply just because missed bullets don't count towards DPS, yeah, CTAR is technically a better weapon than FAMAS. Now if you are just going for things like body shots, etc., FAMAS will quite simply outperform. But if you're going for headshots, CTAR's a better way to go, I'm afraid to tell you. So then the question is, well, what one do you use, CTAR or Rouse Splitter? Now, if you are someone that does slightly struggle with headshots, but you're wanting to sort of get into your headshots, Rouse Splitter is better. If you're already an established headshot monster, going for CTAR with Killer or Optimist would be your best bet. It really then does sort of depend on your playstyle. Potentially as well, just Rouse Splitter could be better for both people just because of how accurate that damn weapon is. But it's dealer's choice. It really is. At number 4, we have the AKM. I like to call this weapon the Trap because multipliers work. So 600 because it's our RPM divided by 60, that's our seconds, times 75,800 gives us 758,000. This is obviously including Rouse Splitter, lower DPS. The problem here is multipliers. So typically you would be running something like Fox's Prayer and have damage to targets that have cover on your weapon, which is potentially it is essentially 18% damage to targets that have cover. That gives us a 1.18 multiplier. So you times your base damage by 1.18. Because our base damage is a lot higher, but it's pretty much the hardest hitting damage-wise assault rifle in the game, we then get stupid numbers coming out of that because it's multiplied. Yes, it's a slower fire rate, but due to the damage that you can get out of it using multipliers, it becomes pretty much a really, really stupid, and I do mean stupid, weapon. Just from playtesting F.A.M.A.S versus AKM, I found that going up against two heavies, I would be reloading a lot more often and I wouldn't be doing anywhere near actual overall damage to the heavies. Black Tusk are a good one to test this out because you get heavies galore. But yeah, with the AKM, I was basically able to take both of them out with near enough one magazine, like just because of the multiplier effect of the weapon. So although your DPS with something like a F.A.M.A.S or CTAR will be higher, your time to kill with something like an AKM is a lot lower. The downside to the AKM is you basically need a very specific build to actually get this thing to work, because otherwise after 3 bullets the recoil due to the stability on this weapon basically hits the roof and you'll be shooting pigeons, which is fun, should we say. But yeah, AKM is an absolute monster. In at number 3 we have Test Subject, specifically just Test Subject, not the PDR, because of a simple reasons. So 700 divided by 60 times 64,600 gives us 753,666, and then a bunch of decimals afterwards. The problem is perfect in sync for those 5 seconds. So we just need to work out our 40%, which is done quite easily, and then add that back on to our base, which gives us 1,055,133. So yeah, comparing that to F.A.M.A.S, it's stupid. Admittedly, yes, using F.A.M.A.S with in sync, but that's only a 30% buff. Perfect in sync is a 40% buff. And when you do actually compare the two side by side, Test Subject admittedly, just edges out La F.A.M.A.S, but only when you take into consideration multipliers, because of where Test Subject has a slightly higher base damage. When you start adding in the multipliers, yeah, so if you actually compare the two from base with 0 multipliers, with F.A.M.A.S with instinct, Test Subject with perfect instinct, there's like a 2,000 damage difference between them in favour of F.A.M.A.S. The moment you start adding multipliers, Test Subject, they basically flip. Test Subject beats it by it's like 1,860 damage or something. Very, very insignificant. But yeah, just from a technical standpoint, it does outperform F.A.M.A.S, which is fun. Well, for me anyway. Now it is time for the only non-AR on this list, the L86. This weapon in terms of DPS is actually stupid, and that is a complete lie. 610 divided by 60 times 74,600 gives us 758,433. Add multipliers in, and this weapon Like, from a time to kill perspective, along with a DPS climb, which are those graphs, if you've seen me post before, this weapon compared to a FAMAS will out damage it with a 30 round mag, with FAMAS using a 50 round mag. L86 is stupid. Like, I cannot express to you how stupid this is, simply because of how multipliers multiply. It's quite funny. And just because I've mentioned it and I know you guys love it, this is the L86, the yellow line, versus the FAMAS, which is the blue line. L86 has 30 rounds in the magazine, FAMAS has 50. That's not a lot to go on, but if we had that 50 round mag, FAMAS can do one. Like, absolutely categorically do one. Like, yeah. L86 is stupid. So at this point I probably should actually mention, this is for PvE. In PvP, there is one weapon, which is going to be the last one, that would probably outperform, but in terms of PvE, yeah, FAMAS isn't actually as good as people seem to say or think it is. There are other weapons that are directly comparable or just straight up better, and the L86 is absolutely, categorically one of them. It is stupid in every way, shape and form. So if you are one of those people that like running ARs, maybe give the L86 more reps than an MG, but maybe give it a go. You'll probably be surprised. So now we have some honourable mentions. Not good enough to make the cut, but pretty good nonetheless. We have the MK16. Due to its high damage, this actually scales better with multipliers, and as such you do actually get a better time to kill. The ACR, much like the MK16, has very good scaling, better time to kill, but is also a lot more accurate and stable than the FAMAS. The FAL is an absolute monster due to the multipliers. The only thing that hurts it is the 40 round mag. Then we have the exotics, Bighorn. At base, it actually has the highest DPS in class, however it falls short due to accuracy and stability, and you can't add damage to targets out of cover on it, which does help its scaling. And then we have, I can't believe I'm saying this, Eagle Bearer. The only reason why this is up there is because of that 60 round mag. You can actually get a surprisingly large amount of DPS from this, provided you are within the 3 feet. That thing needs to actually be accurate. But yeah, if I'm being fair across the whole board, I have to put Eagle Bearer on this, despite the fact that, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, it is a terrible weapon. The problem is, 60 round mag in an AR is nothing to scoff at, and just because of that, it can put out some pretty decent damage. That is it. And last but not least, we actually have Shield Splinterer. Now this has actually seemed to be in an ongoing debate between a lot of people, simply because at base we have 850 divided by 60 times 56,400, which comes to 799,000. This is lower than FAMAS. The problem is Perfect Optimist. See, the moment you get one stack, it outperforms FAMAS. And even with a FAMAS using Optimist as well, the moment you get 2 stacks, it will outperform FAMAS with Optimist and 2 stacks. And from there, the gap just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's stupid. Just to show, when you add in all Optimist stacks on the Shield Splinterer and the FAMAS, these are the numbers you get. 1,086,640 for the Shield Splinterer, 1,051,560 for the FAMAS. That's a difference of 35,080 damage. And for those people that are going to go, oh, but you get an extra mod slot with the FAMAS because the Shield Splinterer only has 3, FAMAS has 4. That is not enough, no matter how you want to set it up, to make up that 35,000 damage. Maybe about 10, 15,000 damage, maybe, but not enough to make up 35,000 damage. So no matter how you want to slice it, no matter how you want to put it, what build you run with, because remember, if you're running one buff with one, for a fair test, you've got to do it with both. Shield Splinterer is de facto the highest DPS AR in the game. And for those wondering, what I'm doing is I'm testing the accuracy and stability of the weapons against the wall. That big long line on the far left is actually F.A.M.A.S, which is just how inaccurate and unstable that damn weapon is. So yeah, you might want to reconsider what people say when they go, oh yeah, the F.A.M.A.S is like the best assault rifle in the game. No, because I've put up a pretty decent list here that will show others are comparable, and definitely two that are just better. And I would argue the AKM and the Shield Splinter are just better. The annoying thing is the AKM is going to require a very specific build, but if you want one that is just de facto better in any way, shape or form, Shield Splinter, it's stupid. The weapon itself is absolutely stupid. The moment you add in that perfect optimist, it beats so many other ARs just by default. It's stupid. Anyway, that just about does it for me. Have fun, good luck, don't die. It's bad for the health.